Hello, my strong friends, and welcome to my 8-week strength and muscle building program, Uplifted. This program is made to help you grow. Let's get lifting and get uplifted.
Gentlemen, when you think of an alpha male, you probably think of a dude who's big and strong. But in my opinion, a true alpha male is someone who also has the perfect balance of style and substance.
Welcome to my 30-day ab program. There are a lot of familiar movements, but there are plenty of others that you probably haven't seen before. You now have everything you need to build that six-pack you've always wanted.
Foundations of Fitness Nutrition is designed to be a comprehensive and applicable guide to help everyone make more educated choices about the food they eat.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Brain Gains. It is August 2018. My name is Tyler, and this is my coworker, Alec, and today we are talking about fitness myths. This is the show where we like to keep everything open. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to post those wherever you're watching right now, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. But let's see, if you miss it today, maybe you're watching a little bit later, you're not watching live, also you can email us at brain.gains@bodybuilding.com. So thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, today we're talking about fitness myths, and I think it's going to be a good time. But before we get into that subject, let's go into a little bit of news. Mr. Alec, tell us what we got.
Okay, so this one's fun because it it directly affects us here, me in particular, because my boss actually just competed at the Strongest Woman contest in Norway. World's Strongest Woman. So technically speaking, one of the strongest women in the world resides here every day of the week, which is very cool when we have somebody that not only lives it, lifts it, all the above. So hopefully she watches this or is watching it now and is blushing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, little spark plug. Strong woman. And the link to that contest should be either in the description where you guys can go back and check that out. It's pretty sweet what they got to play with over there.
Very cool. In another piece of news, the International Society of Sport Nutrition released a big sweeping review of pre-workouts and how they work on people when they exercise intensely, when they exercise over endurance exercises. And we just wanted to kind of talk about that, what was found, where we stand on the whole thing, and kind of bring some light on the subject for you guys. I know today's topic isn't pre-workouts, but we figured we'd address it anyway, just for the giggles. But anyway, so this is a study. It is called, I have it up right here, the Multi-Ingredient Pre-Workout Supplements, Safety Implications and Performance Outcomes. A brief review. To summarize, basically it was found that there's an unfortunate lack of data on what are called finished products. And so that means if you take a C4 finished product or a gym finished product or a Dimetized finished product or a Bodybuilding.com finished product, unfortunately, the money rarely exists to do a great amount of clinical studies on finished products. But we work really hard to make sure that the single ingredients that are in each of those products are studied extensively. The doses that we're putting into those products are looked at very carefully, not just for efficacy, but also for safety as well. And so we firmly believe that, and this study agrees, that there are good ingredients in these products, and we have every reason to believe that they work. Another thing that was brought up was product safety. Alec, do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so product safety, nice thing about the way the system is set up, companies are required to report adverse events. So say if you took a product and this didn't feel right, and if you have been one of the people that have contacted our customer service team and they ask you a few questions, we have to relay every single one of those reports back to the FDA. And not even if it's our own product, if it's third-party product, we relay it anyway. But when it comes down to safety for products, knowing kind of like the quality aspect of it, what's on that label, because a lot of questions you'll get is, how do I know what's in this product is actually there? Well, a solid company like ourselves and many in the industry that do the right thing, run finished batch product testing. So what Tyler was alluding to when it comes to actually running, say, clinical data, that's a whole different can of worms compared to, say, testing the product to make sure and confirming what's in the product is actually what it is. So I'm actually the one that personally arranges for every single product that we have on our private label. It's tested for stability testing, so our expiration date testing, as well as what's on the label is actually what's in the product.
That's your job.
Yeah, a lot of it was spent even earlier today. So a lot of it required, even like for those in California that are watching this that know more about Prop 65 than most of the country and in the world, I'm the one that actually manages that entire protocol as well to make sure that if we do require the warning, we're putting it on there. If we don't need it, we're certainly not going to need it because the products are well below the threshold.
Very good, yeah. All right, cool. Before we move on to the next news study, I just wanted to bring in a couple questions from the live streams here. Hugo Victor from Facebook says, I'm trying to gain weight, but I'm hardly ever in the mood to eat. Any recommendations?
I would say meal replacement shakes, man. If you can't eat, drink it. It's there's plenty of products, whether it be on our site in terms of like a mass gainer, like Signature Gainer is a great one for that. Optimum has a quality gainer, Dimetize. You can find a ton on the site. They're high calories, and that's what they're meant for.
That's right. I mean, gaining weight comes down to basically two things: getting the calories in and making sure you're working hard on the resistance training. You're lifting heavy, and so those two together, they should get you there. And I know that like taking the time to prep all the food can be really frustrating, and so that's where something like a gainer shake that's just packed with calories is really, really useful.
It takes a select few of us, I feel like, that it's second nature just to knock out the cooking side of things. But I can definitely see how somebody with a non-9 to 5 job or works nights and they have issues getting it in. Drinking mass gainers or any sort of meal replacement shakes can certainly qualify for that.
There you go. Our Reaper from YouTube, I work 80 plus hours a week. Respect, dude. Is it better to work out at night or in the morning for muscle gains?
How do you do anything, man? Like, that's impressive. But I would say that's up to you, man. You know, your mileage might vary. Both of us were early risers, so we knock it out so then we don't have to do it later on in the day. But when it comes down to a lot of it's really, I'm going to talk about in our next study or our next news bit about kind of pre-workout nutrition anyway. So it kind of will affect yours. In the end, as long as you have food in your system beforehand, any time of the day really works.
Yeah, there's absolutely a cadence when it comes to cortisol levels within your blood. It's known that cortisol is a little bit higher in the early morning and then it dips down a little bit lower in the afternoon. Since cortisol is associated with energy mobilization, that's why since cortisol dips in the afternoon, that's why you feel that kind of mid-afternoon lull in energy. But when it comes to exercising, you want to eat a little bit beforehand so that you're getting your body the energy that it needs, so that it's not getting rid of the cortisol. So you have all the energy stores, you have the mental energy that you need to exercise. So as long as you are making sure your nutrition's on point, you can pretty much work out when you have time to work out.
And as long as you've slept a decent amount, you can't outwork no sleep. That's just
that's
how it
the
is.
truth, man.
So. But actually, that's a really nice segue into my next point here. So recently, there was a study done on basically just to test pre-workout exercise or pre-exercise meals, like a breakfast, comparing eating breakfast, say if you lift in the morning, and then seeing how it affects you throughout your day. So they did this, and they did a 12 healthy male volunteer study. They did a 60-minute cycling workout, so that's a long time on a bike. And one group ate porridge and milk a couple hours before it exercised, and the other one ate fasted. So they actually found that there was more glucose kind of byproduct in the bloodstream of those who ate beforehand, meaning you're metabolizing it. So that means if you're burning glucose, you're burning more fuel, you're potentially leaning down a little bit more with that. So there's actually, and there's a link to the full study in the description here below. But the practical takeaway of this is that eating breakfast is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, not only are you sparing the glycogen within your muscles a little bit, you're also sparing any protein that may have been used for energy purposes if your body is in a state of starvation, which technically you are every morning if you haven't eaten for 8 to 10 hours. It turns to protein for energy, unfortunately. And so, yeah, if you give your body the energy it needs, you're going to do a little bit better. That actually directly addresses a question from Lee Dio on YouTube. He says, thoughts on cardio on an empty stomach?
That, again, depends on your goals with it. If you're in a show prep and you want to save your food for after, yeah, there's not really much data to show that actually fasted cardio is better than non-fasted cardio. It comes down to when you want to time your food. But I would say it's probably better, based upon what I said, if you're doing like strenuous cardio, to have something in your stomach.
Okay, let's get to a couple of other questions here. Let's see, Eric Monroy, we will get to that in just a little bit. Let's see, if someone is doing hard training, is it necessary to take glutamine?
If your goal is to replenish your natural glutamine storage, yeah, absolutely, if that's what you want to do, but it's not necessary.
So glutamine is absolutely the most abundant amino acid in the body. It plays a role in a number of metabolic processes, in immunity, in muscle building. I'm not going to say that taking this product will help you gain a bunch of muscle. It's not going to make you impervious to being sick. Not by any means, but glutamine is important, and when you exercise, you do use some of it, and so replenishing those stores is very important. So if you feel like you're not getting enough glutamine from your diet, a supplement is really a good way to go about replenishing that. Let's see, any other of these questions before we move forward, Alec?
No, I think we're gonna get ready to attack some of these myths.
All right, cool. So we'll get to new products and flavors a little bit later, so let's jump right in. So there's a lot of sources of information on the internet and in books and everywhere about the best way to exercise, about the best way to gain weight, about the best way to be the most fit that you can be. And so because there's so many sources, there's sometimes some conflicting information, and maybe some myths arise about what's right and what's wrong and what's yes and what's no. And so we wanted to address a couple of the common ones, some of the mistakes that people make, or some of the misconceptions that people might have. One of the big ones that we see all the time, I exercise now. If I don't consume my protein within
30 minutes,
then the exercise is wasted. Then it's as if I never exercised in the first place. What do you think?
I think that it's wrong. I think you can have, was it Dr. Willoughby out of Baylor?
It was.
That talked about the anabolic window, and actually it's like 24 hours.
That's right. So your body's ability to recover from exercise and build muscle back up after that exercise is much, much more dependent on your total daily protein intake than it is on a big block of protein that you get afterwards. So making sure that you're taking, I think we like to say a gram of protein per body weight per day is higher than the RDI that's given by the FDA, but it has been shown to be very effective at helping you gain muscle to the greatest degree. Now, if you get that in a big chunk right after you work out, great. If you get it over the course of the day in little bits, great. If you wait towards the end of the day and load on the back end, that's fine too. But daily intake is really the most important factor there.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to, like, I think the misconception arises mostly just because you're very hungry afterwards. Because some of us, if you work out hard enough, you're just rearing to go and you're starving before or out right afterwards. So I mean, that makes sense. Just, I'm right there with you. I'm pretty hungry afterwards, but a lot of it's not required. It's mostly that you just worked your tail off, so naturally you need a little food.
Yeah, and actually there's a method you can use that helps make the protein that you do take a little bit stronger. It's been found that consuming protein with a little bit of carbs actually helps you absorb that protein to a greater degree. If you look at the ISSN position stand for nutrient timing, they say that a lot of clinical data shows that consuming protein with a little bit of carbs makes it a little bit more effective. So don't be afraid of the carbs. I know they've been really demonized in media these days, but that just comes from overconsumption. It's important to know that macro is very important to your exercise success, so don't be afraid of those.
And on that note, I always like to preach this just because I think we're not going to be really digging into it too much, but when avoiding sugar, when it comes down to it, I know Dr. Jim Stefani preaches pixie sticks or gummy worms, anything candy-wise. Post-workout, you can do that. Like myself, I prefer like protein powder poured into cereal. I know that's kind of a thing that's catching on lately. So use them, get some carbs to flush the protein through the body.
That's right. George Dorsey of YouTube actually asked, what's the best post-carb to use? And so it kind of depends on what your goals are, but the most common carb you use is a high glycemic index carb, a very simple sugar. Just like Alec mentioned, you want to get your glycogen stores back up, and it has been shown in many, many studies that the best way to get your glycogen stores, i.e. your muscles' energy stores, back up to optimal level for tomorrow's workout is with simple sugars. So make sure you keep them simple after, and then we actually recommend keeping them complex carbs, those low glycemic index carbs, before you work out so that you can kind of get that extended energy while you're working out, and you can replenish quickly when you're done. So if anyone has any questions regarding the protein anabolic window, please feel free to post them. We're getting them here. We also see a bunch of questions about our next topic, which is everyone's favorite topic when it comes to these shows. We see more creatine questions than anything else when we do these. So if you have creatine questions, now's a great time to ask. We see a lot of misconceptions about how creatine is supposed to be taken. Do you take it before your workout? Do you take it after? Do you take 20 grams a day for the rest of your life in order for it to work? Alec, tell me all about it.
So I think the one big common misconception is the loading phase. I mean, that's where a lot of data is shown to like oversaturate your cells to get 20, 25 grams a day for 5 days. a lot of the times that's done in a clinical setting just to get your creatine stores up there so that they can track after the fact, right? So in theory though, if you only take the recommended dose of 5 grams a day for a month, you will have done exactly that and not have taken so much to begin with. So I'll take it pre-workout, post-workout, whichever is your preferred way. But it comes down to it, it's the loading phase, I think, isn't necessary. The nice thing about creatine is it's cheap and it comes in tubs, it has a lot of it. So you're not gonna have a 30 serving where you feel like, oh, hey, I need to take this all within 5 days.
Right. The thing about creatine, the thing that's most important is getting to a point of saturation. Get to the point where your muscles are holding as much of it as possible. Now, using a loading phase, going with that 20 grams per day regimen, it's perfectly okay. You'll get to that saturation point a little bit quicker. But once you're there, about a week later, taking 20 grams a day after that is really not going to benefit you that much. Like your muscles can't hold anymore. Think of them like a full bucket of water that only leaks very, very slowly, right? And so you can only replenish it with about 5 grams a day, or 3 grams a day is kind of considered the minimum. Or if you're like me and you don't feel like rushing that 20 grams, if you don't feel like it's necessary for you to pack it into your muscles quite so quickly, feel free to just do 3 to 5 per day. You can take it at any point during the day because there's no real acute effect of taking creatine. If I take it now, I'm not going to feel it during my workout. If I take it afterwards, it doesn't necessarily make that big of a difference tomorrow. But the general consensus around creatine is take it every day and you will see the benefits of it, which is really, really cool.
And with that, kind of what he was alluding to with cycling creatine. So you don't need to cycle it as long as you keep your stores at the optimal level where you're refilling it each day.
That's right. So we have a couple of questions about creatine here. Does creatine cause hair loss? No, it does not. They don't play a role in that at all. Yeah, unfortunately, that's
genetics.
Can't blame creatine for that one. How does creatine affect fat loss during the cut? So I would say it's indirect.
Yeah.
So there's no direct effect of creatine on fat metabolism, but if I'm taking creatine and I'm lifting harder than I would have been had I not been taking creatine, then maybe I'm burning a few more calories during my workout than I would have been otherwise.
So if you're keeping
and
your
so you're tilting the scales in that direction just a little bit better. Is it going to help you shred? Is it going to really help you cut off that extra belly fat?
No, it's just going to be the amount of power output you're doing on top of your intensity. So if you're working harder due to the fact that you have a little creatine in your system to be able to do it, and that, again, just to reiterate, it's not like, oh, hey, I just started my cut today, I'm going to take creatine now. It's if you've been consistently taking creatine over a set period of time and you're able to knock out a couple more reps, technically your energy exertion is more, so then you could be losing a little bit more.
Absolutely. We have one more about creatine right here from Bobby Harrigan. Creatine or BCAAs for an ectomorph.
You're a human being.
I don't think there's any specificity there. You should go for it, man. Creatine's good for pretty much everybody. I don't want to. I mean, barring any crazy medical issues that we don't know about, for healthy humans, creatine's good. If you're not getting enough leucine from your diet, BCAAs are good. Your body type doesn't have a lot to do with that because creatine doesn't really carry any calories with it. BCAAs have very, very low calories. A lot of them list 0 calories. The argument could be made that the BCAAs eventually turn into some calories, but that's an entire discussion. We'll just say they have very low calories. So they're really not going to make that much difference when it comes to body type and size.
Exactly.
Okay, we addressed, do I need to cycle? Creatine dehydration, tell me what you think.
So a lot of people say that you get kind of crampy or in your stomach when you take creatine. A lot of that comes down to you probably not drinking enough water to begin with, but just the nature of creatine itself, what it does to your cells. Kind of pulls water away from it, so you're gonna feel like, yeah, you might be cramping, but rule of thumb, drink your water, you'll be fine.
That's right. Well, creatine acts as what's called an osmolyte, and so where creatine is in higher concentration, water then follows. That's why when your muscles have greater amounts of creatine in them, you tend to retain just a little bit more water, but that's okay. It's healthy water, actually helps with thermoregulation like we talked about last episode with our hydration. Make sure you check that one out if you're curious. But overall, another question came up on YouTube, does it really have any side effects? Many long-term studies of people taking creatine show that no, it does not have any long-term side effects. So feel safe. Creatine is good. Jackie Hayes asks, can women take creatine? For sure.
Yes.
Women are people too, and I say yes.
And I think that on the, not to drag that on too much, but I've had a lot of female friends ask about that. And yeah, creatine's it's the king of all supplements, and the queens out there rock it too. So.
Here's a good question. Why is the dose of creatine hydrochloride recommended 1 to 2 grams a day, where monohydrate is 5 grams a day? Is there any truth behind this? So this is a pretty big one that we see quite a bit. Creatine hydrochloride versus creatine monohydrate. We really like to just focus people on creatine monohydrate because so much data exists on creatine monohydrate. Is it possible that hydrochloride might have a different action to it? It's possible. We just don't know that much about it because there's not a lot of data surrounding creatine hydrochloride. I like to stick where the greatest volume of information exists, and that's with monohydrate. So if you're trying to decide between one or the other, I would stick with what we know the most, and that's with monohydrate. It's cheap, it's easy to get your hands on, it's tasteless, and we just feel much more comfortable with that data.
And on Twitch from Blackjack, why do you say creatine doesn't cause hair loss when it is shown to increase DHT, which causes hair loss in people sensitive to DHT? Well, and like what Tyler said, if you're a healthy human being, depending upon your genetic structure, it will not affect you. If you are predisposed to that, that's a whole different can of worms. And if you'd like, actually email that information to brain.gainz@bodybuilding.com.
Brain.gainz, bodybuilding.com. Let's check it out. BCAAs and creatine, safe together? For sure. All right, let's move on. Unless you guys have more, does creatine cause bloating? We talked about that one. I think that's it for creatine for right now. Let's move forward. Okay, this is a big one. Protein in high volumes. Is it safe for me to consume as much protein as I know the bodybuilders all take? I know protein causes kidney damage and liver damage. Are you sure it's safe for me to take all this protein?
Yes.
Wow. Tell me more.
A short answer, right? So when it comes down to it, again, a couple years ago there was a case where a woman unfortunately passed away due to consumption of it, but lo and behold, her body actually had a disease that didn't allow her to metabolize protein. So it's not
that was
protein.
Really unfortunate.
It's super unfortunate. But it just comes down to your body can't digest it, and you don't know that until you are able to get to it. So, but no, there's been plenty of studies backing anywhere between 1 gram of protein, of protein per pound of body weight, or even like 1 gram, work up to 3 grams
per pound of body weight. So a recent study by Jose Antonio out of ISSN came out, and he gave his subjects 3 grams of protein per pound of body weight, 300 grams for a 100-pound subject. And that is a ton of protein. But they did this for a long extended period of time, and they showed no changes in kidney function, no changes in liver markers. You got to think of protein not as like some strange, weird supplement that you take. Protein is a basic structure of life. It is something that is a part of almost every food that you eat. This is not a weird, quote unquote dangerous supplement. This is just food, and so don't be afraid of it. Obviously, you can go too big on just about anything, but it would take vast amounts of protein, far beyond what anyone is consuming at any normal rate. So please don't be afraid of it. We've done lots of studies on the long-term consumption of RDIs, on higher than RDIs, and on way higher than RDIs. So please don't be afraid. We're looking good.
On that note, Facebook Junior asked, what are the benefits of whey protein? There's lots.
Wow.
That's a good question.
That's a broad question.
It's a broad question. To be short, recovery, muscle size, strength.
Right. You're feeding your body. So whey protein is especially important for a bodybuilder because it's giving you the protein that you need to hit those daily protein intakes. Whey protein has been shown to break down and disperse into the body very, very quickly compared to a lot of proteins. And then another really important fact about whey is that its amino acid content, or the amino acids that make up the actual proteins within whey, are perfect. They have a really great profile. Their ratio of one to the other is very close to what our body likes best. It just works out really well, and we can get our hands on it for a pretty low cost for the consumer. So overall, there's a lot of benefits both to your fitness and then also just to your overall health, which is really good.
And it's very interesting to see the potential data that might come out in related to some other aspects of health and fitness based on protein. So
there you go.
Regardless of that, but yeah, it's a lot of whey protein makes me bloated. Is this common? If you're, I mean, it's not us to say per se, but it's if you're lactose sensitive potentially. Some of us just don't. Our tummies don't like it.
Yeah, there you go. So. What is best for weight gain, mass gainer or real food?
If you can afford to eat like 4,000 calories worth of food, do it to it. If you can do that, if it's easier for your lifestyle to buy a product to help supplement that, emphasis on the word supplement that, then do that. It's really your preference. Some people are just bottomless pits that can just put food away. And some people require a lot of food, but they just don't have the stomach for it.
That's true. I mean, my biggest question would be, why can't we do both? I mean, you don't have to do 100% whole food. We don't have to do 100% mass gainer, obviously. You know, is it bad to have a mass gainer supplement the amount of food that you're taking during the day? No. Is it just as effective to eat 4,000 calories or 5,000 or however many you need through just plain food? Absolutely it is. Your body's going to take it in all the same. So don't be afraid to do that. And
just to welcome the new viewers, if you're just joining us, this is Brain Gains on BB.com on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm Alec, and this is Tyler.
Hello.
And we're two representatives from our regulatory team, and do quite a bit of research and have quite the knowledge base on the products that you purchase on the site.
We try. We do.
We try at least.
Taylor, I'm not going to try that last name, from Facebook says, can I take whey protein before I work out or on an off day? Absolutely, Taylor. You can take it pretty much whenever you want. It's food.
Yeah, and there's been like some data out there that shows a consumption of 15 to 20 grams before your workout or before any sort of resistance training might actually benefit you too. So yeah, it helps.
There you go. Okay, we're going to move on to our final myth. And again, if you guys have any other myths that you want us to talk about, please feel free to ask those in chat. Or if you're tuning in later and you're not catching us live, please feel free to shoot us an email, brain.gains@bodybuilding.com. The last one that we wanted to address today, and we may do this again with more myths if we get a response from this one, but muscle soreness tomorrow is caused by lactic acid buildup today.
False. Wrong.
All right, so let's talk about lactic acid. Let's talk about where it comes from. So when you're working out, we'll use bench press for an example. When you're bench pressing, you're working out, you're repping it hard, and you start to feel that burn in your chest. That's the lactic acid that you're feeling. So when you are doing more work than your muscle metabolism can keep up with, your metabolism kind of, we're going to simplify it, it backs up a little bit and causes the buildup of lactic acid. Now, the great thing about that is that when you stop working out, when your muscles stop outputting that amount of energy, that lactic acid actually gets turned back into usable metabolites very, very quickly. That's why when you stand up and you kind of stretch it out and you get ready for your next set, that burn goes away. That's actually lactic acid going away. So it doesn't build up in your muscles for tomorrow. It actually gets turned right back into usable molecules for energy today. Now, tomorrow, what are you feeling?
That would be the fact that you tore apart muscle fibers.
That's right.
And your muscles are sore.
That's right. So when you're lifting weight, you're actually doing damage to your muscles. Little baby micro tears. Think about when you're like pulling a rope real hard and you see the little fibers starting to split a little bit. That's kind of what's happening with your muscles. You're making these little breaks in there. And so your body treats these breaks as little baby injuries. And so inflammation occurs. The injury actually has a bit of pain to it, and that's the stiffness that you're feeling. You're actually feeling a low-level injury within your body. And so it is the rebuilding of that muscle tissue, the bringing back from the injury that allows you to get stronger because your body builds itself back stronger than it was before.
There's a lot going into it. You're tearing those little micro tears. There's your neurotransmitters are a little bit lower than they were before. So you got to eat a little bit, consume more sodium and potassium to kind of build those back up.
That's right.
Because that's why cramping occurs. Whole 9 yards with that. So yeah, a lot of it comes down to, it's like, I know a lot of people talk about foam rolling. We'll get into this maybe in another episode as well. That
foam rolling feels
foam rolling hurts because you're rolling it over muscles that were just worked.
That's right.
So it's not rolling out lactic acid. You don't just have a knot, like a ball.
But why does it help?
Why does it help? Because it's helped getting more blood flow to the actual injury, the part that's been worked. Because better the blood flow, the more likely you're going to heal the injury faster. So
there you go. So Brian Leatherman from YouTube asks a really good question. Is it okay to train sore?
I mean, again, it depends on what, if you're like, say if you, or we'll just keep using bench as an example. Say if you benched yesterday, are you going to bench again today? It depends. Some people are able to recover faster, but if you're sore, it depends on your goal. I don't know, I prefer not to hit the same thing twice because I would rather allow for it to heal up properly and kind of actually have the muscle growth.
Yeah, I mean, there are absolutely periods of overtraining that sometimes athletes try to reach during periodization programs. But for the most part, if you're training and you work on your chest one day and it's sore the next day, try something else. Lift something else. Let your body recover a little bit. Let those muscles build back so that when you're working out next time, you can go more intense than you did the day before. Because if you're not increasing your intensity, you're not getting anywhere. So give yourself a chance to heal. Give yourself a chance to recover. Obviously, like we said, there are instances of periodization training programs where it makes sense to do overtraining like that. But for the most part, for the commoner like myself, regular training, I probably wouldn't push it too hard. But anyway, great question. Okay, so let's see. Valentine from YouTube. Does whey protein give you energy? I swear, a few times whey gave me more energy.
3 times.
There you go.
It has calories, so it's definitely gonna give you energy.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna give your
it's gonna
body,
be like over time.
It's gonna have calories. It's gonna have
You're
little
not just
carbs
like
in there.
pop protein shake and just all of a sudden bounce off the walls.
Yeah.
But you know, it's calories in from earlier in the day. But we got a comment on Facebook from James Bumpus Jr., best light feed ever.
Oh, what up, James?
That's a statement, but I appreciate it.
There you go.
And then the YouTubes from Lil Pump. I just really want to say that.
Nice, yeah, Lil Pump.
What supplements do you recommend for beginners? I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past in one of our first episodes, but the OG episode, and the non-gym episodes, the pre-gym episode. Protein, multivitamin, creatine. Those are super affordable, and if you prefer to have your pre-workout, toss that in the mix. But besides that, for beginners, just get used to it. Maybe see what your actual vitamin deficiencies are if you need to kind of broaden out from there.
That's right. Yeah, make sure you're getting your proteins, you get your daily intakes up, get your multivitamin, make sure all your micronutrients are being met just for general health. Make sure
Fill in the gaps.
That's right, my man. And then creatine, because we recommend creatine to just about everyone because there's so much good information about creatine, which we like a lot. So anyway, we are that is the end of myths for today. We covered a few of them. I think we covered a bunch extra from comments and questions from people in chat. So thank you for that. Again, if you weren't here live to ask questions, we're still open to them. Please feel free to email us at brain.gainz@bodybuilding.com. That's Gainz with a Z. Don't forget that.
And for a future episode, if people have more myths they want us to go over, I know we really like to dig into it and kind of just clarify if there's information out there that we can provide that may shed some light.
Sure. Yeah, but just a little housekeeping before we close up. We do have a couple of new products on the site, a couple of new flavors of things we wanted to bring up to you guys. In case you were interested in what's new on Bodybuilding.com, we have a couple of new flavors for products that already exist. So the BSN Protein Crisp Bar now comes in mint, chocolate chip, and strawberry crunch. I believe those are the Cold Stone flavors.
Yeah, so Synthesix just came out with 3 Cold Stone flavors. So the folks over at Glambia that own BSN, they just worked with the actual flavor house, the chemists that work for Cold Stone to get that into a protein format, and then they just decided to surprise everybody and bring it out in bars.
Pretty great. And again, if you want to try any of these, if you want to check out of these in any of the store, we're putting all the links either in chat, or if they're not in chat, they will be in the description for the video, both on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitch.
I think so.
Maybe over there.
Yep.
But yeah, you will find all the links will be there if you want to check out any of the stuff we're talking about today. RSP Amino Lean is now in pink lemonade and green apple, which is good. The Synthesix from BSN now comes in a pumpkin pie. Happy fall.
Because it's the basic season approaching.
Right. Basic season. The Animal Snack Bar, which is that really great kind of full meal bar from Animal, now comes in frosted oatmeal raisin. Oh baby, I love frosted oatmeal. Alec doesn't like oatmeal raisin cookies because he's crazy, but I think they're delicious.
They're just lower on the totem bar.
Yeah, but whatever. Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard 100% whey now comes in chocolate, hazelnut, Nutella. That's what it says. That's what
basically them saying without
saying Nutella. It's Nutella. All right, what do we got for new products?
New products. Speaking of Optimum, they came out with, actually this product, had it come out and launched on the site for last episode, had been very serendipitous, but they came out with Amino Energy plus electrolytes. And that comes in watermelon splash, cranberry lemonade breeze, pineapple twist, and tangerine wave.
Tangerine wave.
Sounds fun.
I like that. I like when they put that extra, not just tangerine, this tangerine wave. So I feel good about it.
But yeah, so that is another good addition to the Amino Energy department. And then Universal came out with collagen powder, which is a solid product all around.
Absolutely.
Definitely see it on the upswing in terms of trending. So I would not be surprised to see other large companies come out with a collagen product.
One thing I would make sure of understanding is that collagen is not a complete protein. So while we take it for its benefits with joint health and hair and skin, that's great. But it's not a complete protein. It does not supply all the essential amino acids that your body needs.
Exactly.
So adding that to either a full protein like whey or adding some BCAAs to that does make it a little bit more helpful.
It's also worth noting that for our vegan and vegetarian users out there, most of the time collagen is actually sourced from cows. So it is not friendly in terms of that. So just a heads up. And then our friends over at PS Science came out with the Select Protein Bar and launched 2 flavors on our site. So they've got the chocolate peanut butter and white chocolate raspberry. Heard some good things about that one.
I like white chocolate raspberries. Cool. All right. And then finally, we got our deals for the week. So I don't know if you got a chance to check it out. Bodybuilding.com is currently running the 2018 Supplement Awards. So make sure you go check out the website, get in your votes because your vote matters on these ones. We want to hear from you on what your favorite supplements were, on what your favorite trainers were, on who your favorite influencers were. You should be able to find that link right on the front page at bodybuilding.com. Go check it out. It's running for...
I think it started last week and then going through the end of this week.
But anyway, all of the supplements that are up for awards are also up for sale. Big 25% off if you use the coupon code AWARD25. Those brands, Bodybuilding.com Signature, Gym, Optimum Nutrition, Dymatize, Caged, Muscle Tech, EVL, Animal, and Cellucor. That's a lot of 25% off. So make sure you go check it out. Once again, links are in the chat or they are in the description if you're checking us out later. I believe the description will not be on Twitch. I got a little word from our sponsors here. But anyway, pretty sweet gig.
And I want to say that today is BBCom's day on the 25% off, FYI.
Oh, hey.
So,
yeah.
Not to brag, but that's pretty solid.
That's pretty sweet.
But on that note, though, we really appreciate everybody for tuning in, taking some time of your day to give us this watch. This is a lot of fun for us to do this for you. So if you guys have any feedback, don't be afraid to email us or chat in.
Yeah, literally, you guys are the only reason they allow us to get in front of the camera. So thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for interacting with us on chat, for asking questions, for sending emails. We love hearing from you. And if you have any questions or concerns or comments or suggestions about what we want to cover in the future, please feel free to hit us up. We watch the comments here, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And again, we're available on brain.gains at bodybuilding.com. So send us an email there. But again, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, Alec.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Hello, my strong friends, and welcome to my 8-week strength and muscle building program, Uplifted. This program is made to help you grow. Let's get lifting and get uplifted.
Gentlemen, when you think of an alpha male, you probably think of a dude who's big and strong. But in my opinion, a true alpha male is someone who also has the perfect balance of style and substance.
Welcome to my 30-day ab program. There are a lot of familiar movements, but there are plenty of others that you probably haven't seen before. You now have everything you need to build that six-pack you've always wanted.
Foundations of Fitness Nutrition is designed to be a comprehensive and applicable guide to help everyone make more educated choices about the food they eat.